Hi guys, I'm Shay Olivarria and you're watching Visions for a Child's Heart.
Rachel's weeping for her children. Rachel's weeping. Somehow someone's got to save them. Save the children. And if you say that love the answer, why don't we begin? Or will we just
Hi, this is Miss Evelyn, and welcome to Visions for a Child's Heart. We are starting a brand new season with brand new people, new friends, new hearts, and today our guest has come all the way from Southern California. I want to introduce you to Miss Shay.
Olivarria. Hi guys, nice to meet you.
Yes, we're so glad to have you.
Thank you, I'm happy to be here.
Great, great. So, and actually, we are new friends. This is actually the first time we've met face to face.
Yes.
Because we've been talking on Facebook.
That's right.
So for those of you who think social media is just a lot of silly stuff, it has real purpose if you have a purpose and you follow it and you know how to use it. So Shay and I connected, first of all, I think because we saw that we were both authors.
Yes.
And we're having signings at the same location.
Yes.
In Southern California. But beyond that, I found out that you have a life experience that is very dear to my heart, and it's that as a child, you grew up
In foster care.
in foster care.
Yes, ma'am, I
Wow.
aged out.
It aged out.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to talk a little bit about your upbringing and your life experience, and then we're going to talk about what you're doing now because you're doing some wonderful, exciting things.
Thank you, thank
I
you.
love it. I love it. So tell me about how old you were when you went into the foster care system and what were the circumstances?
We officially went into foster care when I was 14.
Okay.
But we had been involved with the system since I was about 12 years old.
So tell me a little bit about your family makeup.
So I have two little sisters.
Okay.
One of them is full black, one of them is full Mexican, and I'm Mexican black.
All right.
So a little bit of everything. The one that's black, I grew up with. So she and I was molested when I was 6. But the, cops and all that kind of good stuff weren't really involved. She was molested, and then she went to school and told them. So that's how mandated reporters, we got involved with the state and all that kind of good stuff.
Now, did you each know that the other had been molested?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was common knowledge within the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it a family member?
I was molested by her father. So that was my mother's third husband. She was molested by my mother's, I think, fourth husband.
Wow.
So, for those of us, right, with the mothers with the serial boyfriends and whatnot. So when that happened, my mom had to go into, I think it was Alcoholics Anonymous classes and some kind of therapy she was supposed to be doing as well.
And is that because they assumed it was her drinking that did not allow her to protect you?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I was a little kid and I don't really know all the ins and outs.
So you were about 12 at this time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But she had her own bag of emotional issues. So she used to work as some kind of like, what is it called? CNA or something, like a nurse, health aide kind of person.
Yeah.
And she was working 2 jobs, day and night, to take care of my sister and I. And she had some kind of little deal going with her supervisor at work where she could rest, in like a spare bed and that they would call her when her patients needed her.
Okay.
So apparently she got into it with one of the other nurses. And the nurse tried to take a picture of her in the bed sleeping. I guess she wanted to get her in trouble or something, I don't know. And so my mom woke up and just beat her severely. So they put her on SSI, and apparently she's not supposed to be around people. She's supposed to be working on herself.
Okay, and for those who don't know, SSI is Social Security for someone who has a mental disorder or disability.
Yes, so she apparently was so emotionally damaged herself that they felt like she needed to be working on her own issues.
Okay.
And all this was happening, I guess, around the time when my sister ended up being molested.
Okay.
So I'm thinking maybe that played a part also in why she was supposed to do the AA and the therapy.
Okay.
But for those of us that do have alcoholic parents, you can't take your pills and drink at the same time. So she would just choose to drink,
Okay.
So she wasn't doing what she had to do. Our social worker calls my mother and tells her that because she hasn't been doing what she was supposed to do, they're going to take us out of the home. Why would you do that? Okay? So I get home from school, I'm, la la la, and my mom is like drunk and like yelling and just like, it's my fault that, all this is happening and blah, 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 blah. So growing up, like I would never hit my mom. I would never like, back talk to her or whatever. We had like a really, kind of strict upbringing. And I just felt like I was just to my limit. I just was like, you did all this and you're yelling at me. Are you serious? And so she's like yelling, yelling, yelling. And I'm just packing. I'm just, I know we're going. I'm trying to get my stuff. I'm trying to get my little sister's stuff. I'm not even paying her any attention. And she just got in my face. Well, she called me the B word, okay? And that's kind of my trigger thing. So she got in my face and da-da-da, whatever. And I guess I was done. I was like, I'm tired of this, whatever. And I just slapped her like as hard as I could. And thankfully the neighbors had been hearing all the arguing and fighting. So I guess, they called the police. Thank you, Jesus. So the police came. I swear it was like a movie. Like I hit her and she looked at me and the police came at the door. Oh, I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So they took us and they, put us in a receiving home. I don't know if you guys have those up here. Okay. And it's like a little jail to me. It's like a little mini jail, You have to go through
cots.
Yes. And like the intake, and you get like a tray with like a thing of soap. It's very uncomfortable, really, And so we ended up staying there for, I want to say like 6 months. It was like a good long chunk of time. And so the social worker wanted to place us together. And so for those of us, that have sibling groups, that's super hard. We're already old. There's more than one of you. People don't want us. They think that, like, that we did something. Like, oh, there's something wrong with us. You know what I mean? So we stayed there.
Now, did you have any contact with anyone that you knew, family or anything?
They tried to contact my biological father, who I hadn't seen since I was 2. And so they were able to, I guess, contact him, find him on the phone. And he, called and like, oh, I'm so sorry what's happening to you and blah, blah, and I'm going to do all these things.
And never showed up.
Yeah, I didn't see him again until I was 21. Which to me was worse. Just leave me alone then. Why did you even drag this up?
Don't build my hopes up high just to let me down.
Right? Because now this is the person, right, of my mind that's been, well, if my dad was here, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then no. So my mom is bipolar alcoholic. My dad is schizophrenic, alcoholic, colorblind, and epileptic. So the two of them together were just like, are you serious? Right? There's no way that this is going to work.
Now, were you aware of that at that time?
Yeah.
So you knew about all the diagnoses and...
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my mom was awesome. And it's so weird, I think, when people hear me talk about her, because they're like, well, she was an alcoholic and she was this and that. But she was also like a really good person, actually. And when I got a little bit older, you start wondering, like, how come everybody else has a dad? Like, what's going on? And she never said anything bad about him. She was like, us together and drinking was the problem.
Yes.
You know what I mean? She was like, he loves you. Like, he loves you. Like, when I was little, she used to always tell me stories. He would take me to the park and, do all these, like, daddy kind of things with me, So I didn't grow up, like, hating him, or I didn't even wonder where he was. She told me specifically, he's not here because,
So
I took you and ran off with you, basically.
So do you think by the fact that she told you the truth
Yes.
had a lot to do with how you were able to
Definitely.
adjust to that? That's something to me, because I think people either totally sugarcoat things or outright lie to kids, and I have a real issue with that.
They think that we're stupid or something. Like, oh, if I just say it this way, or if I just don't tell you, and I'm like, we see, we hear, I mean, we're not stupid,
right?
And I always appreciated that about my mom. Always, even when it wasn't nice or it wasn't pretty, she was like, this is what it is, this is what's going on,
right.
And she tried to help me find him when I was a little bit older, but people move, and she's like, I don't know, what happened.
And at the age of 12, being the oldest child of a person with an addiction, then you add the mental illness, that must have put a lot of responsibility on you.
Yeah.
So you grew up taking on a lot. Did you ever resent that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People always say, you get older, they're like, are you going to have kids? I'm like, I raised 2 kids my mom and my sister. I'm done.
Okay.
You know. And so when we were in the group home, the social worker, just told me, she goes, I'm having trouble placing you. I'm trying to keep you together, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't want to be with my sister. And she's like, what? Why don't you want to be with her? And I just really felt like that. I've spent so much of my life doing for you. I just don't want to have to worry about it anymore. And it's weird because now that sister and I have a really cantankerous relationship because I think she feels like,
You
like
abandoned
you
her.
abandoned me. And I felt like, unfortunately, I felt like I needed to save me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 12. I didn't have you. I'm not your mom. And I had played that role for her. And I mean, and for my mom, I used to wake her up to make sure she would get to work on time. I would make her a lunch, iron her uniforms for her, make sure Janelle got up and she was dressed and we were at school on time and everything. And I was just tired.
And it's what we call the
tired.
parentified child. And then it develops into codependency characteristics.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you talk about that because I had another young lady as a guest, and she and her siblings got split up. And she had lots of mixed feelings about it. And I remember as an adoption social worker, I had a sibling group of 3. The oldest one did not want to be adopted with the younger 2. And I can understand that. But my thing was to make sure that the families would allow them to have contact. Because I felt that she...
Later on.
Right. But I felt that she had enough knowledge about herself and what she wanted to, not
Thank you.
to
To make that decision.
Right, but
yeah.
not wanting it to be a decision that she would regret later on. Interestingly enough, though, the family that adopted the other 2 did not want to separate them.
Really?
And she took them on, and it actually had a positive, outcome. But I think the family felt that she just felt like she wasn't wanted. So interestingly, I'll hopefully connect, because actually she might be somewhere close to your age now. I would really like to find them and do, but when they became teenagers and graduated, I did hear from them and that things were going well. But as social workers, a lot of times, and I won't say we because I'm no longer a social worker, but as still being a professional in the field, we feel like we know what's best.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I can tell you got a lot to say about that. Bring it on.
Well, so they placed me in a home with actually the person I was dating at the time. They went through and did all the classes and everything. I've always had like a weird circle of people who
You
love me.
mean with the parents of the person you were dating?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
the guy I was dating at the time was selling drugs.
Okay.
So he was like the parent because he was
Okay.
bringing in the money. So the parents were going to do whatever he said to do, basically. So they put me with him, and that was fine. But then we broke up, so then that was awkward.
Okay. How long did that last?
Oh, about 6-7 months.
Okay.
And we were together for a while before that.
Okay.
So that was actually kind of cool. Then they put me with an older woman who, I guess she had trouble with another kid's mom, where the mom, I guess, was on drugs. And so she would like come and like yell at the kid and do all this weird stuff. So the mom had been making allegations about, the foster mom not letting her see her and all this kind of good stuff. So I was only there for maybe a couple weeks, and they pulled me because they said we have to investigate everything, blah, 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 blah. So then they put me in another home with a girl that I had met at the receiving home because we kept in touch. And she was like, yeah, I met this, nice lady. She's cool. You should come get me, whatever. I was like, all right. Go over there. The lady wasn't feeding me. She wouldn't give me a bus pass. It just seemed like she just didn't want me there. You know what I'm saying? She was just always making these comments about me being fast or this. And it just, I don't know, whatever.
Now, was she treating the other young lady like this as
No!
well, or just you?
No! And interestingly enough, the other girl's name is Shay also. So we thought we were cute.
Okay.
It's like
Shay,
two
Shay,
Shay, and,
Shay.
whatever, So, but that's what made me, it's like something with me then, obviously, because you're doing everything you need to do for her. It's just something's going on with me. And so we were riding the bus home one night, and I was just like, I just don't feel like going back there. She's like, okay, let's not. I was like, okay. So we're sitting on the bus, right, 9 o'clock at night. Like,
So at this point, you're
Now what?
about 13 or 14?
no, because I was older now. So maybe, I guess, 15,
15, okay.
maybe, yeah. And so this guy is on the bus. He's like, I'm going to a party. Do you want to go? We're like, okay. We go to this party. And luckily, I tell you, a series of just random events always seem to work in my life so that everything works together. I get to this party, and I see this guy I haven't seen in 2 or 3 years since we went into foster care, because he used to live on my block. And so he knows my family. We used to hang out, whatever. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, we just ran away from our foster care placement, And he's like, "Do you want to come and stay with?" He was staying with his friend Turtle, and I'm like, "Okay, all right, got nothing better to do." Do you know that it was so tired by the time we got out of this party? It was 1:30 at night. He carried me on his back for like an hour and a half walking to Turtle's house. Like, love this man. You know what I'm saying? And we got there and, fed us and everything, whatever. And I had missed so much school because of being in the group home, in the receiving home, that they were telling me, like, "Oh, you're going to have to fail that whole grade." And they took us at a weird time. So I didn't get to complete the first semester. And then I missed almost the whole second semester.
Now, they weren't sending you to school when you were receiving home?
It was like one of those weird
in-house?
Yeah, and it was, there's, 50 kids, one teacher. We're all different grade levels, right? Different skill levels. I mean, it was basically just like a holding pin, And I mean, in theory, you're not supposed to be there for 6 years. You're supposed to be, placed pretty quickly. So those I didn't learn anything. And so when I ran away, I was still going to school. And people are like, "Who runs away and then goes to school?" You know what I mean? But I was like, "You're not going to mess up." My mom has like seriously just ingrained it in me. Like, you're a smart person, you need to go to school.
So you had that.
Yeah, and I was like, and I'm not going to let you take away my education from me.
There you go.
And so I guess it didn't occur to her to search for school, because who does that? Right? So I get a note one day and they're like, "Your aunt is looking for you." And I'm like, "I don't have any aunts." All right.
Foster mom.
I get there. No, it's the social worker. Bless her heart, and I can't think of her name, sweetest little lady. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm in school. What are you doing?" I had a little bit of a smart mouth. Like you said, once you're an adult since the time you're 5, it's hard to be somebody's child.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that was a lot of my problem, because they were looking at me like, "You're a child. You need to be in a child's place." And I was looking like, "I've done so much things already. I've done way more than you.
Okay.
So don't talk to me like I'm crazy." And so, of course, she was like, "You can't stay there. We have to, And she ended up putting me with my maternal grandmother. So my maternal grandmother at this point, I don't know exactly how old she was. Southern ladies, they don't tell their age. But she had to be late 50s, early 60s. She was older already. And so she had my little sister. And now they're going to put me, being, willful, right, and rebellious, in with this person who really just can't handle it. You know what I mean? She can't. And God bless her, you know what I mean, that she even wanted to be honest with you. And I was never, like, overtly rebellious. Like, I wasn't going to argue with you, right? I wasn't going to cuss you out or anything like that. You just weren't going to do it. That's just what it was.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I would just, like, not come home for 3 or 4 days. You know what I'm saying? She's like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm good."
Now, she had both of your younger sisters?
No, just one.
Okay. Was this
one.
the baby or the middle?
They're actually the same age, strange as that sounds. One of them, remember, is full black. So my mom dated a black guy and had a baby. At the same time when my dad, who's Mexican, dated a Mexican lady and had a baby.
Okay.
So they're both 4 years junior to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one, your mom, you have the same mom. The other one, you have the same dad.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly. Right?
Okay.
And so, and none of them look like me, and everybody's like,
so
"Oh, yeah."
where was the other sibling?
I don't know. I just know that she exists. I don't know her, because remember, I didn't know my dad. I didn't.
Okay. Oh, so you didn't live in the same household?
No.
See, I'm thinking. Okay, so going all the way back to the beginning, the interview, I'm thinking there were 3 of you, 3 siblings in the house.
No, there's only
so
two.
2 of you in the house. Okay, I got you now.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
But you know what?
Rewind.
Yeah, but my mom always raised me like, we don't have halves in my family.
That's right.
It's your sister or it's not your sister.
I love it.
And so even though I never met her in my life, my mom would always tell me, "You have a little sister named Crystal."
Okay.
And so I guess that's why I say it that way.
Okay.
I have 2 little sisters.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
So grandma trying to deal with you just doing Shay.
There you go.
Okay,
And
so
when I
now
got a
you're
job
about
at 15,
16.
it was over.
15, 16.
It was a job. I got my first job working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I was really like, "You can't tell me nothing."
Okay.
Because the little bit I needed from you, now
Basically,
I don't need from you anymore.
You needed shelter, food, and clothing, and now
Right.
you can provide some of that yourself. I don't
Right.
need you.
Then I met somebody, moved in with him. So then I was really like, call me when the social worker calls you,
So I
and
can
I'll
be
come
there.
over.
Wow.
And she was just like, I think, and I can't say for certain, but I feel like she may have actually been a little bit relieved. Like I said, I wasn't mean to her. I wasn't, you know what I mean? But I'm just going to do what I want to
Do
do,
you think she was
you
afraid
know?
for you?
Probably, probably. Like I would do stuff like, you know, leave after school and then just not come home.
But you always went to school.
Right. I did. I was going to school during the daytime. I was working full time at KFC in the evenings. But the thing was, we had such a weird relationship because I would get off at 11, 11:30, something like that at night, and I would mostly take the bus, stuff like that. But every now and then it'd be raining, or I get off later, or whatever. And I remember one time it was raining, and it was like midnight, and I called her, and I'm like, I'm getting off work. Can you come and get me? And I'll never forget it. She goes, "Well, it's raining outside." And I always had that, I guess, that little pride. I'm not going to beg anybody for anything. You have a good night. And so I called this other family, the Nelsons, who to me are like my adopted family. When I first went into foster care, they were like, dude, we will get a bigger house. We will do all the trainings. If you want to live here, we can make that happen. But for me, it was just a little bit too much structure. So like two parents in the home, like a family. Like we have dinner and we have rules. And I was like, oh, I'm not feeling that. But we're still close, even, to this day. And I really
Did you go
credit
live with her?
them. No, I never did.
Okay.
I never did. But I credit them with being really just such a huge support system for me. And so they were the next call I made. And I said, hey, I'm at work. And as soon as I said that, my dad goes, what are you doing at work? It's midnight, and I'm like, well, I just got off work, it's raining, whatever, and I need a ride. He was like, you don't move. We're coming to get you. And I'm like, that's what I thought having a family was supposed to be about. So then to have it where, like my biological grandmother was just like, get home the best way you can. It just made me like, and I say this all the time because I work with a lot of, at-risk students. I'm like, family is the people who will do for you. And we put so much on biology, like, well, this is, my mother, or this is my sister, this is my cousin, whatever. And in my experience, it's like the people that'll hurt you the most are those people because you feel like there's supposed to be something that maybe isn't there, and then you might have all these people that do love you and do care about you and are doing all these awesome things for you. And then it's like, you'll totally push them to the side. Like they're not important, and I'm like, at the end of the day, all the times when I was like, I needed food, I needed some place to stay, I needed a ride, whatever. Unfortunately, it wasn't my family a lot of times that was providing those things.
It wasn't your biological family.
And it's even now, it's like, I just always have these wild adventures. People are like, what are you doing? You're just so trusting of people and whatever. Because in my experience, like I said, I don't turn to my family. Those aren't the people who support me. It's like random strangers on the street who will be like, dude, that's messed up. Like, let me help you. You know what I mean?
And what we want our audience to know is that the things that happen to us and our young people, it never goes away. Sometimes we get a greater understanding of it, but what's in our hearts never ends. So we're going to end this interview, but I'm going to actually continue for whenever the next time you will see Visions On, whether it's next week or the following week. And you're going to hear a little bit more about Shay, what she's doing now. Now, what would you like to say to our young people, a young person that might be feeling those same feelings, and what would you say to any adults in their life?
To the kids, once you emancipate, you have the power to make whatever kind of life it is that you want. And there are a lot of things in my life that I wish I would have had more of, or I wish I would have done differently. But as an adult, the amazing thing is I've been able to create the family and the support systems that I need. And I've been able to create a life that I wished I had when I was 12. So all the stuff that you go through when you're younger, it's like I still feel it. Obviously, it still bothers me. But it's not the end of the world. Like, that's only like a third of your life, if even that. Most of us are going to live to be like 80 or 90. And you're going to look back at those first 18 years, and it's not going to weigh as heavily as the things you do as an adult. So don't let it overwhelm you and feel like it's the end of the world, because really it's just the beginning.
What would you say to the adults?
To the adults, you really have to be aware of like the little comments that you make or the little things that you do. because maybe to you it's just a flippant statement, but to that student, to that kid, we're going to lay in bed and think about it all night. It's going to start to define who we are because we're going to start seeing ourselves through your eyes. So, just be always aware of what you're saying and what you're doing, because you never know how that one little statement might change that person's life forever.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So with that, we're going to close today's session. We want you just to hold on to that thought. Be careful what you say, how you say it, when you say it. And remember, is it something for a child's heart? Is it something special or helpful or healing to a child's heart? Join us next time. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.
Rachel's weeping for her children.